Hello, it's Ron from Ron Brown's YouTube channel. We're back with another, kind of a Ron talk here. This is a live, not live video here. This is a recorded video, but I'm not going to like cut it or edit it or put in any effects. If I happen to cough or misspeak or if somebody makes a loud sound in the background, it just stays in here. I get these things posted a lot faster if I don't have to do any post-processing on them. So here, gonna cut to the chase here. I'm here to talk about the Skydio 2. We got the news this week. It was official from Skydio themselves. You can go to their website or their social media on Instagram and maybe over on X, formerly known as Twitter. And they made the announcement this week that they are exiting the consumer drone market, and they're going to concentrate all their future videos on the enterprise drone market, which, they've got grants from the government. I suppose that's, much more lucrative. They said they just don't have the, the people power, the means to keep supporting the consumer drone market and the enterprise drone field at the same time. They're not that big of a company. It's just beyond their capabilities at this point. And Parrot went through the same thing a few years ago where they discontinued all their consumer drones and went fully to enterprise. And, I guess the gold mine or, the gold rushes over there in the consumer drone business for a lot of these people. And why? Is it because DJI just has such a lock on the consumer drone market that there's nobody else out there that can make any inroads into that? I mean, Alltel's still a player out there in the consumer market field, but even them, I mean, they've updated the Evo 2 Pro. They had Generation 1, Evo 2 Pro V2, V3. They're on V3 currently, and that's a consumer drone. I mean, they have a different kind of enterprise versions of the Evo 2 Pro where they have the cameras, what do you call the camera? You can see at night and all that stuff or whatever. They have those models too at a premium price, but they still use the same airframe for a consumer version of it too. But they also almost 2 years ago this fall they came out with two consumer drones, only consumer drones, the Nano Plus, the Nano, the Light, and the Light Plus. Two drones, variants of each one. And it's going on 2 years now. There's no talk of a second generation of either of those drones. So we kind of get the feeling, again, just speculation, just my opinion. And again, it's just my opinion. It's nothing to take seriously. You don't have to get mad if you disagree with it. Everybody has their own opinion, and opinions can't be wrong because they're just opinions. But I don't think there will be another version of either Nano or the Light Plus that those two drones are done. And I'm afraid that Alltel may slowly kind of back away from the consumer drone market again. Just my opinion. I don't know anything. I haven't talked to what's his name over there at Alltel, Max. I haven't talked to Max over there, but just my opinion. So yeah, it's kind of maybe the state of the union in consumer drones from some of the big companies. And back to the Skydio 2 in particular here. As like a lot of people, I was very excited about the release of the Skydio 2 drone back in the fall of 2019, which when we first kind of heard about it. We've heard rumors about it, and then they made an official post about Skydio 2 somewhere in the fall of that year, and I put my pre-order in, and the drone arrived around the beginning of December. And I remember, even before getting mine, Billy Kyle got his, and he did that great video where he's in Manayunk and he's on the skateboard is kind of fouled under that bridge, and around that little sidewalk, I'll call it a trail, not really a trail, sidewalk, and dodging all these trees. And it was a kind of a video to get you all hyped up and whatever. And I got my Skydio too, and I don't my age. I don't ride skateboards or anything like that, or one wheels. I forget what he was on at the time. And but I did my fair share of tracking. Walking around, having to track my wife's car over in Brigantine and so on. And the tracking and avoiding was amazing compared to the competition at that time in late 2019, early 2020. Of course, this is right before the COVID hit, really. And but when a lot of us, I can't speak for anybody but me. Well, some of my friends that were too, we were kind of expecting a not only a drone that had amazing obstacle avoidance and tracking, but also we expected a drone kind of on the level of what was the state-of-the-art drone at the time, the Mavic 2 Pro. And we did not get that drone. It didn't take us long to find out when we started testing that drone that, again, the two kind of halo features outside the tracking and avoiding, the drone was just kind of a average or below average drone on many other, features. Number one, I'll say it, you could order, you could just order a drone. It only would come with the drone, and you flew it with your smartphone. But of course, that was like, say $999, and I'm kind of just winging the price. I don't remember exactly what the price was. And then you could order a beacon, which was a little device, about this long, this thin, that you could attach it. You could hold it, in your hand, your pocket. You could put it on a motorbike or anything like that, and that would help the drone even track you better. It would not just rely on the visual tracking, drawing a little box around the subject, but that would give it like kind of almost like a homing device or GPS device, where it would almost like never lose you if you had that device with you, that beacon. And also they offered a controller, a standard drone controller. You said it was the same controller that came with the Paranafi. So this old drone, how old this drone is when the Paranafi was the choice for controllers. But it came with a controller, and I had the Paranafi, and the thing worked well, with the Nafi. A lot of people, they blamed the not a good controller. Well, I don't know if it was the hardware really. It was probably just as much as software the thing. I mean, it was the controls, the sticks. Maybe not the physical sticks, but the just the software. I mean, it flew real sloppy. I mean, it didn't react well at all to your input commands, whether you were ascending, descending, moving forward, backward, sideways. They were all kind of real sluggish, like you were flying, a budget drone or an older drone. They just weren't what we were used to on the current DJI drones at the time, or even it didn't fly as good as the Paranafi, we'll say. And speaking of the Nafi, which had notoriously had bad signal strength, range, little. Skydio 2 also suffered from the same things. You didn't get very far away from you at all, and you were losing your FPV feed. Signal was low. Was starting to go and return to home. It didn't have a good range at all, and that kind of plays into where it was a tracking drone, where if the drone's close to you tracking you, it doesn't need that much range, right? Like if you go a mile on a skateboard and it follows you for a mile on a skateboard, it's always going to be close to you, so the range had no issues. But for people who bought this drone, and a lot of us, I left this part out. A lot of us wanted to support these drones because we still say this today, but in 2019 we were saying we wish there was an American company that was making a drone, an American drone company that made a drone that we wanted to buy. Because even back then it was like, well, even before all the spying and allegations and so on, we wanted to support an American drone company, and so we really jumped on the bandwagon, and again, and we got this drone that that really did replace, or even what's the other word? Didn't even replicate our DJI drones at the time at all. I mean, it wasn't even close. I mean, the experience we had of flying a DJI drone, the way it handled. Many people flew it in kind of cinematic ways to get these incredible shots. You could not do that with this drone. This drone was real sluggish, kind of robotic in the way it handled there. Even when it was tracking, people trying to get footage. You know, it was a very robotic way of filming. I mean, you could, if you were an editor, of course, you could edit out the most robotic sequences and make it look decent. But yeah, it really, you know, outside, again, the first reviewers of this drone, or the first testers, weren't your traditional drone channels. They were people that had like motorcycle channels, biking channels, people like that were doing the early testing of these drones. You know, consumer testing of the drones, not the typical, drone channels. So none of that information kind of got out of there beforehand, because they only showed it tracking them, you know, out in the wilderness on these bikes and motorcycles and whatever. And, you know, those videos were edited to it, and you didn't really see the real, you know, it being very robotic in those things or whatever. So, yeah, we had no idea it was kind of going to be like this when it came. Not that they lied to us, not that they ever said it was going to be, you know, a cinematic drone like the Mavic 2 Pro, but we kind of just assumed it because it was at the same price point almost as the cinematic drones. You know, you were paying, you know, basically, you know, I said $999 for just a drone, but if you decked it out with the beacon, the regular, the Paranafi style controller, extra batteries, case, blah blah blah, you were over 1,500. You were on the way to $2,000 if you spec this kit out the way that most people wanted to spec it out. So we were expecting, you know, that type of a level of a drone of 15 to 2,000, grand drone. Most of that high price you're paying was for this incredible tracking and avoiding features. So anyhow, you know, you quickly, you know, got the fact that I got this drone, and I'm an older guy here. I don't really do a ton of tracking and avoiding. I kind of wanted a drone that did a little of that for the occasional times I did want to do it with cars and walking along, but I also wanted to be a good photography drone, cinematic drone, a drone I could just fly around and get nice shots or whatever. And that wasn't the drone. And you know, the camera, it was more like the camera quality is more what you were seeing from the GoPros in that era. I'm going to say that'd been the GoPro 7, 8. Something like that in that era. And, the camera was good. It offered 4K 60. And a lot of people, a lot of drones like the Mavic 2 Pro did not have 60 frames per second. And so a lot of people loved the 60 frames per second. But it had a small sensor size. Wasn't particularly good in low light. I don't think it had a flat D-Log color profile that you could add it on. You know, kind of had that kind of bright, over-sharpened, contrasty GoPro look. And I'm not putting that down. That's a good look, especially if you look at that stuff on mobile devices like phones, tablets, 13-inch laptops, and so on. That stuff all looks great. But when you get it on bigger screens, that kind of video kind of shows its weaknesses. But just my opinion. So I had the drone. You know, I guess, you know, maybe like almost 2 years, a little less than 2 years. And the second, you know, the first year I was trying to make a lot of videos on it, keep testing out, trying to, you know, find a niche I could use that drone in. I never really did find a use case scenario that I used it on like a daily basis outside of like, you know, I'm going to do some walking and tracking and whatever. So in less than 2 years, I sold it off. I sold it before the Skydio Plus came out, the one with those antennas that flipped up to try to give it more range, because I mentioned earlier, it had pretty poor range on, even compared to other drones at the time. Like I said, Paranafi level, which everybody killed too. It was not on any level with any DJI drones or whatever. I mean, it was like, you know, it was on the level of the DJI Spark or something, you know, which probably was a year or two before that. And again, you know, I mean, some people are going to say they did better than I did, but yeah, so it just wasn't the drone for me, you know, especially at that price point and so on. And you know, again, that's my fault. You know, they never said it was going to be a Mavic 2 Pro killer or whatever. And, you know, so that's, you know, kind of expectations that we were expecting a Mavic 2 Pro type drone with this incredible tracking and avoiding. And that's not what this drone was. So, So, you know, for people that have a lot invested, for a lot of people, this is their, you know, people that do the tracking, avoiding, and so on like that. You know, this was their favorite drone. They're probably hoping for Skydio 3, and you know, that's not going to come now. I mean, you know, these big companies, they, you know, 5 years from now, they could change their mind, jump right back into consumer drones. Who knows? The door is never closed on any of this stuff. What they say never type of approach. But yeah, but a lot of us saw this coming. Way before this announcement was made. I mean, after about almost, I thought it was dead in the first 2 years, and then they came out with the Skydio Plus with the antennas I mentioned previously, and you thought, well, maybe it's not dead yet, but then some more time passes by, and you could just tell that they were losing interest in the consumer drone market. Every announcement from Skydio was about new enterprise drones and government contracts and so on. So yeah, I saw, a lot of us saw the handwriting on the wall that this day was coming, and it was no big surprise to many of us. Again, I feel bad for the people who maybe just got one recently. You are heavily invested in this drone. My only advice at this point is to the Skydio said they will still support the drone as far as repairing it parts, software and so on, and they've already added remote ID to it in the recent firmware updates. So, if you're flying a Skydio 2 and you're happy with it, you're good to go for a while. I mean, my only advice is go out there and, buy some extra batteries for it, buy some extra propellers for it. If it needs to be repaired in any way, send it in now before another year goes by and they discontinue all support of it, a year, 2 years, or whatever, 6 months, who knows when it'll become a day where they're going to moonlight it, not support it in any way. So get all the stuff you need for it now if you plan on flying it, for as long as you possibly can before, it just becomes kind of old tech and doesn't work anymore. So order those things I mentioned. So that's about it on the Skydio 2. The Skydio 2, we hardly knew yet, but I mean, it has been, it was be 4 years this fall that they announced it, and 4 years come December, that the drone has been in the hands of the early adopters. So, so that's my thoughts on the Skydio 2. Have any comments or, opinions of what I said below, put them down below, put them down below in the comments section. Let me know what you think of the Skydio. Did you have it? Are you a big fan of it? You're going to miss it, and so on. And, and we'll, that's all. I'm like Forrest Gump. That's all I have to say on the Skydio 2. I guess I've sold mine a couple of years ago, so probably my last Skydio 2 video ever, and it's a Skydio 2 video without a Skydio 2. So yeah. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a thumbs up so this video gets out to more people on YouTube than just my subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, glad I mentioned subscribers, you can subscribe to the channel for more information on drones, probably not more information on Skydio. So if you're only interested in Skydio, I probably won't have anything more for you, but if you're interested in drones in general, you can subscribe and hit that bell. Ring that bell notification so you'll be notified when I put more videos up on YouTube. And I'll put a buy me a coffee link down below if you want to send me a couple shekels for a nice nice sized coffee. It's a summer day. You can see I'm outside here on the deck. It's August now. I'm in beautiful Margate City down here by the shore. I can always use a cold beverage on a hot summer day. So we'll see you in the next one, folks. Cut.